Hello, welcome to the first episode of The Diary of Life. When Life is Lifing with Tonya R. Lewis. Wow, wow, wow. Y'all know I had to come out with this because everybody didn't think they should be on the diary of dating over 50. They thought they needed to be single, no man, no woman, da-da-da-da. So me and my team, we came up with the diary. And the person who did my voiceover for that is my guest today. And we're going to find out a lot about Mr. Derrick Michael lately. Y'all know how I do it. I like for them to introduce themselves. Derrick, take it away.
What's going on? How y'all doing? I am Derrick Michael Lately, formerly from Fitzgerald, Georgia. I reside now here in Atlanta. I've been here since, 2009? And it's just been a roller coaster of stuff that's been happening in my life. But I'm very grateful and thankful that I'm here.
Life been lifing for you.
Life been life.
That's how we call it, life been lifing. Well, life started off lifing with you as a young man born in the South. Chocolate, because chocolate wasn't in back then. It was the light-skinned brothers with good hair. Chocolate is in right now, y'all. But anyways, it started off for you playing football.
Yeah.
Take us down that journey.
My football career came in, I would say, a little bit later in my teens. It wasn't like I kind of grew up playing it. Because my mama was like, look, man, I ain't got time to be putting y'all and doctor and all this stuff for y'all getting hurt and all that stuff like that. So she was like,
she was scared y'all was going to get hurt.
Yeah, she was afraid of that. And I come from a big family. I got a lot of brothers and sisters, right?
Wait a minute. So, you have a twin.
I have a twin, yeah.
Okay.
Indeed, I have a twin.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's I think he's going into his 12th year of teaching, and he's getting ready to get into his specialist. And I think he kind of wants to transition out of the classroom and more into administrative roles. So
okay,
it's a good thing. So with that sports background, it started a little bit later. We were always watching it. You know what I mean? We're always around it, always looking at it on TV. We were like, all right, well, what we will do if we had this opportunity to play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately, I had the opportunity to play. It was good. It was cool.
Okay, so that was in what grade were you in?
So I started really playing in middle school, so I probably started, like I said, late. It was like 8th grade,
okay.
7th, 8th grade when I started playing. So I was 13 years old. It wasn't like I started at 5 or 6 where most would start, so.
Were you big for your age back then?
I was a little bit taller than most. I was a little bit taller than most.
Y'all see these muscles now?
I started growing into, I started growing into a more, into a body when I started training 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you started playing football,
mm-hmm.
and in your high school, you had the opportunity to go to college and play ball.
I had an opportunity to play for various schools. A lot of them were just away from Georgia. You know what I mean? I'd never lived anywhere else in the U.S. other than Georgia. So for me, coming from a small school, small hometown, and looking at all of these schools and all right.
It was a bunch of them coming at you.
A bunch of them. I'm like, all right,
wow.
Where will I go? I don't know anybody in Montana. I don't know anybody in Delaware. I don't know anyone in Pennsylvania. So I'm like, all right, let's look at what we can do around the region of the U.S. that I know, And Valdosta State, shout out to the Blazers.
Okay.
And UGA were two of the schools that I really had a passion for because I'm a homer. I like the state of Georgia.
You like to stay at home, stay close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh wow.
I don't mind traveling. I don't mind getting out of there. But for that time in my life, it was like, all right, let me just stay around to the house so it's easier for my family. I can make the trips and they can come and just hang out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then right before you went there, what happened? What took you out?
My senior year, I suffered a nasty injury. I tore my meniscus, completely tore my meniscus, partially tore an ACL. And if you know what those are like for most athletes, those are kind of like one of those injuries where you're like, all right, man, why did this have to happen? Because this takes so long to
take a long time for it to heal, right?
Heal for it, right? Mm-hmm. I healed partially torn ACL, I healed. The meniscus is still a thing, you know what I mean? So it took a little time. I get back, and like the third game in the playoffs, I tore it again. So
oh my God!
You can just look at what that felt like for an 18-year-old that is a pretty driven individual. You know,
Yes,
even then, I was a very driven individual.
Yeah.
But like seeing that and experiencing that, I was like, all right, well, this may cause me to have to pivot because I don't think I want to go through another injury like that collegiately. Okay. You know what I mean? So
okay. So you were brought up in a religious family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How did that? Tell me a little bit about that.
So I grew up a singer. Right,
y'all know I make them sing when they say they can sing.
So many. We grew up singing like all around the house, right? All in church. So I'm in the stands. It's my sister, my brothers, everybody's up there, and we're all singing, right? And we all, you know, when you were in church, growing up in the South in church, it wasn't man. You had to do it. You either had to usher, you had to be a part of the choir.
You had to be a part of church,
right? You were going to do something, and so we were deeply rooted in that particular area of spirituality, to where we were servers first, right? So if you had that gift, then you are actually you're gonna put it on display. You know what I mean? That's kind of where it's at. So I was singing ever since I probably was 5 or 6 years old. Wow. And it was just in church. You know, we would go to service sometimes twice a day. You know what I mean? So it was times like that where we were like, all right, we're tired, but we got to get out here and do what we got to do, right? Yeah.
So was your parents, either one of them, ministers in the church? Or no,
my mother worked, and my mother was like a choir director, so to speak. My aunt was a choir director.
Oh, wow.
It was so much. My grandmother worked in the nursery. It was so much. You know, my dad, he did a lot of like deacon work type of stuff like that. He was kind of more like that. Yeah.
Okay. So about growing up in the South, being a young black male, did you experience any racism, any getting yourself in the middle of anything like that? You know,
you can. I would notice it, but personally for me, I never had to encounter it. You know, I never had to endure it, at least in a way to where it would be so obvious. You know what I mean? Now, was it around? Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Trust me, it was. We had segregated proms.
Y'all had segregated proms?
Yeah, segregated proms.
Because you're in your 30s.
Yeah, we had.
And y'all had segregated proms back 30 years? Well, not even, maybe.
Yeah. So I'm in my late 30s, but we had segregated proms. Like, we had a black prom and we had a white prom.
But y'all all went to the same school?
But we all went to the same school.
And what reason did they give you guys?
I have no idea what that was. So my graduating class was like, look, we're going to Oreo this up. So we're going to come and crash y'all's. Y'all can come to ours. And some of it was a mixture of the two, because my class, we were a very close class, right? Mm-hmm. Black, white, green, orange, didn't matter. We're a very close class, right? Coming up from where we were, growing up at the time that we were, all of us kind of was just, we always remember just playing together. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Playing together, like hanging out, doing different things like that. Because my mom and my grandmother worked for like the nurseries and the nursing homes around the city. Mm-hmm. So they kind of recognized who we were just based upon who my grandmother was and my mother was. Okay. So we tried to not let it be like something that was going to affect us, because we were like, look, man, we don't want this to be. So
the adults decided that it would be segregated.
I believe so, yeah, because the side of town that I grew up on, and then the side of town where the high schools and stuff like that were two different types. You had like the black community, and then you had like your white community, right? And a lot of times you didn't infuse the two. It was kind of taboo to kind of infuse the two, but it's how it was. You know what I mean? So we were like, look, we just gonna do what we do. So
where is this city at? What is it close to?
All right, so take 75 South straight down. It's just near, I would say this. If you are familiar with the middle part of Georgia, like Macon, Perry, Warner Robins, you got to go about an hour more south of that, and then you run into where I grew up at. So it's just kind of give you a geographical perspective. You know what I mean? So
All right. So when you decided as a young black male from Fitzgerald over there, Georgia, what did your family think about you coming to Atlanta?
They hated it. My mom, I'm telling you, my mother and my grandmother were like, "Look, it's just it's rowdy up there. You go up, you got to think about it. Like we were a close knit group family. Mm-hmm. Some of us traveled, some of us didn't. Some people stayed, some people didn't. And we were like, I was kind of one of those people. Like, look, man, I'm not gonna be the person that's just gonna be staying here because I have like big dreams, big goals. I've always been motivated. Mm-hmm. Right? I've always been a motivated guy. So when I moved to Atlanta, it was right in the middle of college, literally in the middle of my third year of college. It just was not for that particular life for me at the time. I kind of felt like, all right, look, I feel boxed. Mm-hmm. I feel limited because most people carry the burden of potential, of seeing the potential, but not living it.
Okay, right.
I didn't want to be that type of person. I wanted to understand, like, hey, look, man, I have all these gifts. I can do all these things. I need to get to a place where there is bountiful, things happening and an abundance of things happening. So as I took that and was like, I'm going to run with this. Like, this is where I feel like I'm going to be able to go, and it kind of ushered another dimension to my life. So they didn't like it. Right. But at that point, I didn't graduated. I was out of there. As soon as I threw my cap in the air from high school, I walked right into college. As soon as I threw it in the air, it's almost like I walked into this other part of my life, and I was like, all right, here we are. What are you going to do with this part of your life? And
so what challenge have you experienced? So
many.
Okay.
So many. From cars, from losing a house, all types of things I have faced in this journey. And I wouldn't change it because I think it creates the man that you see today, right? So if, for most men, like I tell most men, and even women, everything's on the other side of fear, right? And we all know fear is a false evidence appearing real, but most people don't go beyond what they feel that they're used to. If I were to have stayed home, it would have been what people were used to. If I would have just, finished out college, not knocking anybody who's doing it, because I think it's incredible. But for me, it was just like, you have to do and set this path on your own, because pivoting is where I want you to go. You know what I mean? Like, no matter how difficult this road may be, you're right. It's not, no matter how difficult this road is, I need you to pivot from the norm. Because of what you want to do. And that's, y'all, when I tell y'all my story, I have a true testimony. I'm not the type of person that's going to, I'm not the type of person that would warrant what this story is going to be like. So one of the speed humps along this journey is that I was assaulted for being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
So you saying you got jumped?
I got shot. I was shot over 12 times. I am a walking testimony. I am a walking metal detector, so to speak.
You still got metal? You got bullets in you?
I still have some shells in me. And they can't come out because it's where they are is a part of it. It will cause more issues.
Okay,
but that was one of the stories. One way.
So no, let's start this story. Wait a minute. As much as y'all, he's a personal trainer too. He was my personal trainer. He always been my personal trainer, and we never had this conversation. So tell me how this started. How did that day begin that you got shot 12 times? Very normal day. Yeah, very. So you woke up.
I woke up. I was going through my day. At this point in life, I was working doing marketing and advertisement. So it was kind of business to business. So on this particular day, we left, we finished work. We got down to I think we were working down in Hampton, Lovejoy, somewhere down there. And we had watched the game. It was just like a normal type of Thursday, right? When we left and was heading back up to the house. And my business partner at the time, he had received a call from his then girlfriend, I think now fiance now, that she was getting off of work and that we had to take a U-turn route to kind of get there. So we get on 75 and we heading 20 east to come ahead of Tonya. So we get to the neighborhood, very quaint neighborhood. It was very, you wouldn't expect for what I'm explaining to you happened in this neighborhood, right? Gated communities, subdivisions, all that type of stuff. So we get to the area to where the GPS brings us to, but it's kind of still kind of like off to where we're like, all right, we don't know what house it is, so we just pull over and just give her a call. So this gentleman, he comes to my door, to the window, he knocks on the window, he's asking like, you gotta think about it, I'm gonna give y'all a depiction of what it's like. It's at nighttime, you're driving in the neighborhood, you're on this side of the street, and this person's on the opposite side of the street.
Predominantly white neighborhood.
Black guy.
Okay.
Black neighborhood.
Wow.
He's on the other side of the street. So we pull over. I'm in suit and ties, not a threat at all. He comes knock on the window. And where I'm from, if you don't know who you know, then you're not going to answer the door. That's just where you are from. Otherwise, you catch hands or something else going to be going down. That's just a protection portion. But that wasn't what we were on. Of course, we was just leaving work, coming to pick up his girlfriend, and we're going home because we got to go do the same thing again tomorrow. So he knocks on the window. He's asking, like, what are y'all doing? You know, what's going on? Why y'all in front of my people's house? So I'm like, we're looking for an address. We just got a call to make sure we come and pick her up. And he asks who we're looking for. At this point, your antennas go up. Now I'm black. One or two times where it's going to be a notice to be like, all right, look, something's different. I'm like, nah, you know, relatively speaking, I don't know you. I can't really just get anybody address out. This young man, he's a young man. He had to be young because it's the way that he sounded, what he was talking about. So he started just going off, being very belligerent. And I'm like, you know what? We ain't got time for this. Let's just go. So we leave, and now we're thinking we're leaving the subdivision. So we go out towards the opposite area to where we came in just to give a call and be like, hey, we'll just come to where you at. But it wasn't. It was
y'all
the back
went further
of the, it was the back into the subdivision, right? So we had a cul-de-sac that we had to come back around, and by this time, his girlfriend's not calling him and say, "Hey, I'm coming back in. We just left from work. I'm gonna get my stuff and we'll go." So now I'm back into the neighborhood, but my back is turned completely away from where this gentleman is at. So we're on the other side of the street, just on another street. Same guy comes out cussing, doing all this stuff. We're like, all right, man, look, let's just get everything. Let's just get out of here. I put the car in park. I never really turned it off.
So you were driving?
I was driving.
Okay.
I put the car in park. I never turned it off. Next thing you know, I'm looking up and there's a red beam tracing the windshield. Oh. As he was putting his girlfriend in the car, she was. Oh,
because y'all found her.
Yeah, we went. The street that we were on was the house that her friend had taken her to. Okay. When they all got off of work, because they were like, look, we're just going to go get something to eat, come back, get the stuff, and we were right out here. Like, all right, cool. Because remember, I was telling you, we had to come way across town to come way back over. If I didn't notice the beam on the car by a guy that was walking in front of us from the dash, ain't no telling what would have happened. All I heard at this point was just gunfire all in the car. Girlfriend in the back saying, oh, man, he shot me.
She got hit?
Yes. I didn't know I was shot until I was probably maybe a mile away from the hospital.
12 bullets and you didn't know
12
that you were shot?
When your adrenaline is pumping the way that it's pumping then, you don't feel anything.
Because when the shots start firing.
When the shots start firing, all you trying to do is just get out of there. You ain't really worried about trying to get in here. It was already probably never turned off. All I did was just get the clutch and get out of there. Lo and behold, a mile into this, I'm talking to the cops, trying to get escorts, trying to get people out the way because I'm worried about who's in the back. I wasn't worried about what happened to me.
So she got shot. Did her dude get shot?
No. He was over. He was trying to protect her. He got in back with her to make sure everything was all right. She was shot in the back, in her spine.
Wow.
So I'm driving. And like maybe a mile from the hospital, I'm like, man, I feel what I feel.
Wait a minute. Tell me, because I've never been shot before, of course. Yeah. I don't never want to be shot. Nah. But tell me the feeling of how you felt physically when you got shot. Is it a cold feeling or?
I don't know if you ever played paintball. or if you had a BB?
I don't want to be hurt.
Have you
like
had
that.
a BB?
No.
Anything like that? Well, the give expression of that. Imagine what a paintball or a BB gun or something like that would feel like. Only it's not just staying there; it's going into you. That's what it feels like. So if you never had anybody throw something really hard at you, or
with snowballs
like that,
we did or something like that.
Yeah, it is.
It's harder than that.
Harder than that. But yes, imagine what that type of stuff is like. And then at that point, knowing once your adrenaline comes down, that your body recognizes that it's now been penetrated by something.
Yes.
Right? That's what it feels like. Because when my adrenaline was up just trying to get everything, I didn't know that. I didn't know anything was like that.
You didn't know you was
I didn't know I was shot like that. I did. It's the fight or flight type of thing kicks in. I no idea it was. So when I get to the hospital, they're the detectives and everything. They're talking to me. I'm talking to them like I'm talking to you. Until they laid me down on the table, which was where all of the pain came at. Because I was like, I didn't no idea what was going on. So they cut my shirt open and they observed it. We went through the surgery, got it removed as much as we could. Right.
So when they laid you down, you went through, and they said, okay, we got to do surgery. We got to do emergency surgery right now.
Yeah.
Where were the bullets at?
So they were all on this side.
They was
on
just
the left side
on
on the left side of my back, going down to my back. I suffer what you call radial nerve palsy, and what that is that it's called wrist drop, so to speak. So this wrist had always been like this from the time that they got shot till I strengthened it. But there are nerve damages still in this hand that I don't feel from that. From all of those shots, that's all I suffered. And to sit here to talk to you guys on today is much more, my life has much more, of a destined path to it than what I might have envisioned when I left from Fitzgerald.
Okay. So kind of what your grandparent and your mother and them assumed that would happen, it ended up happening worse.
Yeah, it ended up happening.
So after the surgery, when you started to recover, what happened with this guy? Did they ever find him?
So the detectives didn't want it to go to a cold case, but I think it ended up having to be one because they couldn't really match the ballistics, so to speak. They told me that they thought they might have had these ballistics, but they really couldn't. So the way that they were pointing this out, everybody looked the same on this sheet of paper. So you're giving me a sheet of paper that I described to you.
They tried to get you
to pick out who these people were, and I'm like, all of them look the same. Like this is.
So it was more than one guy.
I mean, to me, I think it was just one guy.
When you got shot, you think it was more than
I was never really trying to look back and see who was shooting. I was trying to get up out of there. So.
Did the young lady survive as well?
Yeah. She's good and walking fine. So she's good.
So right now, this is a cold case. They don't know.
Right now, it's a cold case. Yeah, and this happened almost next year will be 10 years.
And they don't know who.
They don't know. I never got a call back or anything like that after we went through the surgery. After we went through,
you never got a call back. You never talked to the detective
after we went through the lineup to kind of figure out what's going on and who, because they didn't want it to go a cold case. But if you can't identify anybody, you know what I'm saying? Like what can they do? After you go through what you go through, they gotta have you physically saying, okay, yeah,
that's
this was a
right.
person. You know what I mean? To have that happen.
So that person out there, the person who shot you 12 times, is still out there.
Could be still out there. Depending on what his lifestyle is like. You know what I mean? But he don't. I don't think he's seen me enough to even know.
Especially 10 years, you have changed quite, because you probably didn't have locks back then, huh?
Yeah, they were, but they're not as this long. No.
Okay.
I had just, matter of fact, I had just kind of started them around that time. So
how did that change? How did that change your life?
Well, it gave me more perspective to understand that whatever point and purpose of God got me here for, then I got to keep living. I always tell people that, I say, you got to keep living. Because the moment you decide that you want to stop, then who's to say that this wasn't the next day, the next minute, the next second was the next thing that you needed to go through to get you to where you've always told God you wanted to be.
Were you angry?
There were I went through several types of different type of emotions and feelings, right? It was almost like, this never happened. Why did this have to happen? You know what I mean? Like, because mothers or even guardians can be empathic. So my mother was always like, I can, like, what's going on? Like, I really don't like what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, is there something you can do? I always tell her that, Mom, Mike. As how I look at faith, I tell Mom, I was like, look, whether I'm in Fitzgerald, whether I'm in Alaska, Hawaii, Mexico, death comes. It's unprecedented. You don't know. But if I always live my life in fear, then I'll never be able to be capable to fulfill what I feel God is needing me to do, because I'm living in fear.
This probably would have been more acceptable if you was out there slinging dope.
It would be, yes, exactly.
Because you
if I
live
was
by the
that
sword,
life, right,
you die
sword.
by it.
Exactly. So that was never who I was, which was the most incredible thing for people's ears to hear that know me. They're like, you're talking about somebody I could pretty much tell you how his day can go. You know what I mean? Like, this is out of the ordinary. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like people were questioning it. They knew it either had to be that he was attacked or he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And you was in the wrong place.
And I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Yep.
So how did you move on with your life after that?
Well, it made me become much more in tune to where my prayer life was like, all right, God, whatever journey you have me going on, keep me near you, right? As best I can. I'm not perfect at all, but it helped me to be able to know that, okay, I'm not invincible. Okay, I'm not invincible, but I will say that I know that you are my protector, that you're my shield, right? And it helps me to be able to tell people, like, to help them to understand, like, no matter what's thrown at you, that you can still overcome. You can still do the things that you've declared yourself doing, or doing what you see yourself doing, right? Because if I would have ever given up, right, or if I just would have stopped, what about the people that have seen me that has wanted to do what I do, and say, be like, man, why? Like, what happened? What stopped you? Like, nah, I'm an iron-willed guy. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I know that I want. I want to pursue what I've actually saw myself doing and being, and I couldn't stop then, even with being assaulted the way I was.
So how was your fear? Because you had to be shaken.
During that time.
Just like right after going on with your life, did you have a amount of fear that made you nervous in situations and crowds and
It wasn't so much say fear, but I did think I suffered from maybe what we call what people may know as PTSD.
PTSD, yes.
I had one. It was a couple of years after that, right? So it was a 4th of July weekend. I was in the evening, and like the way the fireworks had sounded, kind of it froze me. I never really felt like that before, though, right? I never really felt PTSD before, and I'm like, what is this? And I was like thinking to myself, oh, this is probably PTSD. You probably need to just go ahead and just go home and just chill out.
It stopped you in your tracks.
Because it kind of stopped me in my track. So I was like, you need to just go home and just chill out, because it froze me. It wasn't like I was afraid, because, like I said, fear, just it doesn't do so much. If you need it to drive you and it need to be a wedge, and you can. But once you reach that pinnacle point of fear, you got to get past it, right? Yeah. And I never was afraid of it. So. But it gave me that PTSD feel. And sometimes, even now, if it's certain type of fireworks that might go off, it will allow me to be more aware of what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, what's looking the way I need to look, but never was like it stopped me from just living. It never really stopped me from living.
After getting shot 12 times and then hearing fireworks and then having to go move on with my life.
Yeah.
Wow, it would spook me.
Yeah.
It would spook me.
Yeah, it does. Like, when I share this story with people, and they're like, when I do share it, I don't just go around just telling people.
Because
you know what I'm saying?
You trained me for almost a year. I never said anything.
Yeah, so it's just, when it's needed to be heard, you know what I mean? It's definitely.
Because somebody out there that may watch this, or may have already been through it and stagnated in their life. They may not have been shot 12 times, but I think getting shot one time is more than enough.
More than enough.
And your story could truly help them.
Yeah.
So after you got past the 12 shots and you're moving on with your life, how did you get into acting? And give me some of the name of the movies that you're in.
So growing up, the arts was a big part of our life, right? Okay. Doing community theater, doing stuff
Your
in the
mother
church.
kept y'all busy.
We kept us busy, man. We didn't have a chance to get in no trouble. You know what I mean? We just didn't. And we were just like, man, whatever we wanted to do, because being in a family, I grew up in a house with 13 people.
So it was two parents and then 11 kids.
It was my mom, my grandmother, my aunts, my cousins. Oof. It was a lot of us. Right? It was a lot of us.
Y'all better come and eat, cause y'all know it ain't gonna be no leftovers.
It wasn't. You leave. You gotta go in. This way you had to go and make sure your hot water was there. If not, you're gonna have to go and boil it. You know what I mean? I'm an old soul, right?
Yes, you
that's
are.
why I grew up like that. And so like we had to, you know what I mean? Like if you didn't get up when your time frame was on there, you
they had a list of the time frame.
My mama had us like, you were military in this, man. You got to get up. You know, if you didn't, you're gonna wish you had.
If you didn't make your bath time, then you got to go at the end of the line.
End of the line, right? Because how like I say, that's how it was. Yeah. You know, we had to get up. We had to get out of there. Now when my brother and I came along, we were the last of the bunch.
So were y'all the babies?
And at my grandmother's house. Now we call ourselves like a divine nine type of situation. So it's like was me and my brother, and then like all my brothers and sisters, and then like three of my bonus cousins. So we kind of like, even now everybody's got a group chat. All of us in that group chat. Man, y'all remember this? Y'all remember that? It's like, yeah, we remember this, we remember that. And then like we will go through, what that's like. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I think helped with my creative side, because everybody has so many different things that they were doing. Everybody had so many different things that they liked, and you could do everything that you saw any other group or things like that on television doing, because you got enough people to do it. You got enough people to do
the new edition.
Right. You got enough people to do everything. Everything. So we did that, and then again, like growing up in church, you doing like, Easter plays and speeches, all that stuff like that. And then I get into school, and then we have different theater things that we do in the school. And it just was always in me. But like I said, music and sports were first, and then like acting was just always was in there. Mm-hmm. So when I graduate, I go through school, and I'm like, man, I think I can really do this stuff, because I'm impersonating people. I can do all this stuff. I'm like, all right, maybe see what's going on. So I get to Atlanta.
Wait, who is your biggest person that you can impersonate?
I don't know, so many, but it's just got to be like, it's like a spur of the moment thing. You know what I mean? Like my brother, like, it's funny because we'll all call each other and be like, y'all remember this part in the movie? Y'all remember this part in this thing? We would do it, and then people be like, man, I remember that. You sound just like him. So it's just different things that we would do, right? We would just announce a movie or a show, and then everybody just go there. Everybody just step
like Hoppo, it's gonna rain on your head.
Yep,
that was my favorite part of the movie.
Exactly. Right. Somebody can be mad, upset, but somebody we'll just say something and just instantly start laughing, and then because it's just kind of like one of the things that we do growing up. But like when I moved to Atlanta, my old vocal coach was my acting coach, and I love theater. Theater is kind of like the first thing for me when I talk to and tell a lot of people about a lot of stuff. I like live stuff, so theater had prepared me for film. So in I think my first movie.
So wait a minute, that's how you do that play that you do so well. What's the name of it? Why
am I still single?
Yeah, why am I
still single?
So you like that live part?
The theatrical, or what we call ourselves thespians in theater. Okay. Helps us to be able to capture more of the role, because in theater you can't mess up. Yeah. On film you can say cut,
and then do it over.
Edit you
right.
Theater is nothing like that. You have to bring it every time that you are in that. And I'm that type of guy. I was like, man, look, I think that this is exactly where I feel like the biggest part of my life really makes sense, because I was already doing this growing up, just didn't have the platforms that most people may see me on now. So when I first got up into that was like 2013, 2012, 2013. Might have been earlier than that. because I moved up here in 2009. I think we started, like probably 10, 11. I got much deeper inside with my acting and with music at the same time. They were just kind of neck and neck. And then modeling just, everything just started to like kind of like roll into place. But with acting, it kind of was something that kind of started out. You know what I mean? You got to kind of want to do that. You got to have a certain skill set because
in acting, you got to remember those lines.
You got a lot of stuff. And then if you are doing musicals, you got to know your musical piece, your choreography. And I did that. I was singing and dancing, so it kind of made it. It kind of made it where it's like, all right, this is kind of a cool thing for you to do because you do this so well. You know, you might want to see what that's like. So it started. It started pretty early. And some of the films that you might see are Learning the Hard Way.
Yeah.
You'll probably see Joy. I play the devil. I play
and you played a devil, and then you played also a gangster, didn't you?
Yeah, I played a gangster.
Okay.
I played a thug, all of that.
Yeah.
I played the guy next door, all these types of things. And it's just so fun being able to immerse yourself in things that you know you love.
Parts.
Right.
Yeah. Acting, I mean, I went to Sister JJ's camp, and I didn't get to complete because I went off to flight attendant school. But acting is not easy. It's not easy to remember those lines.
It's not easy.
And show your emotions behind the character.
It's not.
So then you got into modeling, because that's when we met. Modeling, and somebody said, "Here, personal trainer," and my attendance went up. Like, so how did you get into the personal training aspect?
So that goes back to my athletic background. So my coach, my athletic trainer, when I injured myself, like shout out to Mr. Taylor, he was kind of like the team doctor too. He was like, "Derrick, look, this is what you face with. This is what you're gonna have to do, right?" And because I had went through that, and I see so many other athletes and such go through that, I was like, look, I want to actually learn how to help these people be able to get better at it. Now, if you may not be able to move the same way, but if you are able to, you now know what these functioning things are. So I got into understanding what that was like to be able to help not only just athletes, but people that are just wanting to be better, wanting to be able to move better, and that's how I kind of got into it. It's an interesting thing. Like when you look at personal training, people look at it for the aesthetics. But when you really look at it for the discipline,
no, you educate folks. Like, Tonya, you got to move this bone and that bone and this muscle. I'm like, okay, I just want my arm to look good. Derrick. I don't need to know all that.
When you hit it from that, when you do it from that, you got a different appreciation for it, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So then you got knocked down again. Because you had this car accident.
Yeah,
I
did. This car accident had me down, and most of the time, when injuries like what you have, so you sustain it from your back, you just feel like, all right, man, all worries the world. So I got hit 75, blew the back of the windshield out, blew the bumper all over the place. From that, I had what do you call those things with
your herniated
disc? I had all types of stuff like that. And I'm like, man, like, I can't win for losing. Because along this journey, things will happen, right? Car accidents, like, this is Georgia. If you ain't got in a car accident in Atlanta somewhere, you bound to have it happen to you. Because people don't drive, they drive crazy. So I got that accident. I'm down for like 5, 6, 7 months. I pick up unbelievable weight. I'm like, what in the world?
Because here you are working me out, and you got this chunk of a belly.
Man, people looking at me like, hey, man, what's going on? You got hey, what's up, man? You going through some things? I'm like, yeah, I am. I probably am. And then dealing with, I didn't know that most of the time, going back to what we were talking about earlier with your previous guest, like sometimes you go through stuff, man, and you just in denial of what you may be going through. I never thought I would be that type of person to be that. Because I try to be a realist when it comes to even my own life. I got in depression, and I just stayed in that.
You did. You waddled in it. Yeah, I just stayed in it. Look, every time we got together, and in the beginning before the accident, it was like, okay. But then when we got together, you would just cry, whoa me.
Yeah, man, it was, it's just,
and you gained a lot of weight.
Yeah, and I think some of it may have even contributed to some of the things that I know you and I had talked about off camera before. But I just kind of stayed in that. I was like, what in the world happening?
Yes.
And you accept it.
Yeah.
right? You accept it. And what I would always tell myself was this. I was like, all right, just like you go through any ups in your life, this is one of those downs.
Yep, but you got to ride it out.
And you got to ride it out. So how you're going to look while you're doing it? You know, how do you go through the day-to-day life knowing that this is what you're going through? You might be telling yourself in the mirror like, oh man, the day will be different.
It's going to be different.
But it's you find
by the
those
end of
habits
the day,
and
it's like,
right back into it. It's back to life. You right back to that reality. So when you're doing things amongst yourself, when you notice like, all right, well, like I take my wins, I take my L's, my L's. So how do I keep myself motivated, right? For me, it was like, I'm not going to give a downer to who I might be working with, right? Or what I might have to contribute towards. And that was my way of kind of staying focused until I was like, all right, you got to now put yourself in position to kind of pull yourself out of where you were at, right? So you might talk about it, but your performance can't be like that to other people because
your mouth,
might
your
not
action
need to be
don't
like
match.
that. It don't match,
Your mouth,
right?
your words.
It doesn't need to be like that, right? Like when we have our sessions, we talk, but it doesn't mean that I've got to be laxed on what I got to show you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Or what we have to work with. Or when we would go do modeling gigs, I can't woe is me to this particular type of situation because sometimes I have the light switch flick thing mentality. If I walk through this door on your set, you're gonna get that. I leave whatever I have coming with me out the door until I leave, right? And that was just how I was raised, and that's just some of the training I received. But you have to be like that because if your energy is up and sprout and springy, and I'm working with you on something, it's gonna throw everything off, and that's not fair to you.
Yeah. Now, in between all of that, then you had to be a daddy. You had your first son.
Yeah, be a daddy.
Your only child, right?
My only child. Yep. On top of that,
he's so amazing. But he's going to be in acting because we always got him on video.
Yeah. So my son is amazing, man. Like we are like, he's like my best friend.
That's your bestie.
Yeah, he really is. Like he and I can be. I can have like a crazy day, like I'm feeling like working on, like, man, I'm so tired. And he's like, da-da. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different things that he goes through, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, I wonder if I was like this when I was growing up. I wonder if I was always meddlesome. You know, because like right now he is very meddlesome. And I love him, but I'll be like, man, you got to get down from right there. And you're on the ceiling fan. I'm like, man, what are you doing? Like in the refrigerator somewhere. I'm like,
he up on top of the refrigerator, in the refrigerator.
In the refrigerator, on top of the refrigerator, doesn't matter. He's always yelling, jump. So he'll jump. He'll jump from all over the place. But what I was studying him, I'm like, all right, well, this is a pattern for you to learn what's going on. And I equated it because I think most of the time, especially for boys to men, like, we ain't gonna just go from what we just tell us. We gotta find out, right? So I'm looking at that. I'm like, that's kind of the way of life when it comes to most males. They just gotta go find out versus it just hearing it. Hey man, look, you might not want to go that route. I want to go this route because I want to know what that feels like. No, you don't. But it happens. And I talk to my son the same way. I'm like, look, let me talk to you. If you jump from here to here, you can jump from here to here, but from here to here, that might be an issue, son. That might be something that goes on. And he loves to do it when like I'm cooking or cleaning up or doing something like that when I'm not my attention. It's kind of like, it's on him, but it's like different. Cause I'm like, all right, son, you can come help me. Cause he normally will. He'll grab a broom.
Oh yeah.
He'll grab a dustpan. He'll be like, that broom, sweet that. You're like, all right, wait, we're going to do this. But when he wants to be a kid, he'd be a kid. And I'm like, all right, Derrick, look, you got to allow him to be a kid. Right
so you're a full-time father with him. You do.
I tell people this. I am because I co-parent. So like a full-time father / hustler entrepreneur at night. So it's so fun to kind of really get to see his dynamic with both me and his mom, because when we have our days when we're together, it's just it's like, all right, well, his mommy, his dada, like we can go and hang out. We do. But like just seeing how that is with his interaction, I'm like, look, buddy, like you got to chill right now. Like,
did you ever think that you would be a father and not married in the same household?
I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't think that.
Yeah.
Just a little bit about my history. Like my mother and my father, they were engaged, but things just didn't work. You know, prior to me actually meeting my father. So.
Because you met your father at a later age.
At a later
in life.
age.
Okay.
Met my dad at a later age. So, with that being said, I just never really wanted that for my son, right? But things happen, choices are made, and here we are. But I never stray or run away from what it is being a father. I tell people this: I'm a father first, above a trainer, singer, actor, model. I'm a dad first.
Yes.
Because he didn't actually be here, you know what I mean? And like, it is my full responsibility to make sure that his life goes a certain type of way, right?
Were you ever at the point where you did not want to meet your father because he wasn't there? Or
No.
Did you go through any emotions?
And I think, and I share this with men and boys and type that stuff like that in general. Where I'm from, because of some of the military background that's in my family, we were like, all right, this is the situation, this is your problem. This is the solution. But nowhere in that solution did someone say, okay, let's sit down, let's talk about how you may be feeling or why this is like that. So the avoidance of most men sometimes is the emotional reflection that we might lack because of what we're told from the moment that we're boys to adolescence, to young adults, to men, is to suck it up and be like this. Now,
Suck it up.
I have always had to do that.
Don't feel it. Just
Don't
suck it
feel
up.
Just suck it up. And with older brothers and older uncles and all this stuff like that, that's what we was doing, right? So when I got to the adult part of my life, you start recognizing where your flaws may be. And that indeed is a flaw of mine. Because emotionally, I'm like, this is the problem. Here's a solution.
So you don't when when somebody is or say your son's mother, when she say you're not showing your emotions that she need to see, you like, okay, I wasn't taught that. Okay, what how can we fix this? What's
exactly how my reaction is sometimes. But I have to understand, like, at the same time, that this may have a reflection on if I'm looking to be the best version of what I can be for my son, then he has to understand that, hey, when you're crying or when it's a situation that goes on here, let's talk about what happened. Like, why are you doing it? Like, how did this make you feel?
So with your son, I
have to be like that for
him
because I don't want him to have to go through that part of my life that was void to where it helps him to not have emotional intelligence.
Do you shut down?
I wouldn't say I shut down. I would be more. I'm more so like, here's the solution.
You still ain't gonna have no conversation about it.
Let's get to this solution because in my mind, it's like most men are we try to be problem solvers, right? We try to be.
But as a woman, I want to know your feelings behind
that's exactly that. In the absence of such, we don't give ourselves that particular type of like time and integrity to do so because it wasn't something that was instilled. And I tell most women this, I'm like, look, you got to think about what that man's life was like growing up when it came to these type of problems. Does he have a sister, an aunt, a mother or grandmother that, or somebody in his life that cared about him enough to actually be like, look, let's sit down and let's talk about how this is supposed to be a reflection of what you're feeling like. Did he have something like that? How much does he love these people? And even if he did love these people to that degree, was it ever a time where he felt safe to even evoke those emotions?
So your mother, aunt, grandmother, everybody grew up in the house. Suck it up.
Worked.
Suck it up.
My mom was a worker. My mom was somebody that like, look, I'm going to show y'all how to do this because I don't want you to feel like to accept any types of handouts. My grandmother was the same way. My grandmother never remarried. My grandfather passed. My grandfather passed maybe about 5 years before me and my brother were born. I never really got a chance to meet my grandfather, but my grandmother never remarried. So to her, it was kind of like, all right, this is the type of level of structure that you guys have. You take care of your family, right? This is what you're supposed to do. And my uncles, like I said, again, they were military, so we were always diligent. It was always like this. Yeah. So it never was a situation that everybody sat down and was like, all right, how was the emotions of your day was going? Nobody did that. You know what I'm saying? It was just so avoided. Nobody did that. And then at the same time, we were all doing so much stuff. You know what I mean? Everybody was doing so much stuff. If it wasn't band, if it wasn't any type of sport or anything like that, We were always doing something. So it was never, we always had each other. So it was a situation where we were always like, man, it'll be okay. You know, this might have happened like this.
Oh, you'll be fine.
We'll be fine.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like too many adults that talked about it. It was just like us as brothers, sisters, and cousins. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this happened to me. You know, this, I had to do it like this. And, you know, we got over it.
Would you say that has interfered in your relationship?
Yeah, I think so. I think I tell you, I reflect on it as honestly as I can, because I feel like if I had that, then I might more. Not saying I don't.
Who are you looking at?
Not saying I don't. Wherever the camera's at. Not saying that I don't.
He looking
but
at
I
the
do
audience
like to.
okay, if you watch it, girl, if you watch it, I ain't talking about you.
I will say this though. I will say this. I am a very patient person. I can say that I'm a very patient man.
You are.
So I will listen. You know. And I will make sure I ask questions, because I will definitely have to be in a level of understanding. But I don't linger on it. That's the way you might want me to. I'm not. It's just not how I am.
You're gonna do it real quick and it's gonna be over.
I'm gonna make sure I'm listening. I'm like, all right, look, this is the problem. This is the solution. Here's what I think we should do. You know what I mean? Like even now, like even when I talk to my son's mom, we have our moments, right? We have our moments, but our center point is our son. At the end of the day, he didn't ask to be here. We have to do what we have to do, no matter what it looks like for me, what it looks like for her. We always come to that understanding, like, hey, look, your career is your career. She has a very decorative career.
Yes.
She's a very decorated woman. Like, she's a very successful woman. And then I have what my life is like. So in her life, there's a lot of things that happens, right? There's a lot of stuff that happens.
And she probably grew up in a family where they talked about their feelings.
Yeah, there's a lot, and that's the thing, right? And it's interesting because of how our backgrounds are, but you know, you have to. I think that now the portion of where my life is at now, I reflect on it now to where I'm like, all right, I can improve this to be better. I need to improve this so that I am better, especially for the next woman that comes in my life, and then for what my son needs to see, to where he can understand, like, this is how you regulate your emotions.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, are you planning on having more kids, getting married? Because I know you haven't been married.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know about the kids thing.
The little boy, he might be it right there.
He might be the one and done for me, man. It might be like that, but
I can see you with a daughter.
For love, yeah. Now I have my goddaughter. I love my goddaughter. My goddaughters. I love my goddaughter to death, right? So that might be what that means for my kid.
Well, you know what? I love sitting behind this mic and being the host, because I find out things about people that I did not know. And as long as you train me, guys, if y'all looking for a good trainer, he is the one. He's patient, and he'll come to you.
Thank you.
But you find out things about people. And, you know, I knew the daddy issue. And sometimes that can go on with you in life, you know, because I have daddy issues. You know, my dad left, but then I get my bonus dad, but he don't have no relationship with his children. So I'm stretched with that. I don't, when I got married, he walked me down the aisle. I had a relationship with him, but his own kids didn't. So that was hard, you know, so I understand. But moving forward, you know, you're teaching your son. So hopefully some of that will bounce back on you too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Derrick, I'm so grateful that you sat down with me.
Yeah.
And you and I, we cross paths a lot.
Yes.
You know, with modeling, even I want to do some plays, but right now the diary is most important.
That's right.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, Derrick Michael lately, I love that name, embodies resilience and versatility. Having navigated the complexity of growing up as a young black man in the South, his journey reflects a profound commitment to personal growth and community, demonstrating how challenges can be transformed into stepping stones. As a first-time father, Derrick's dedication to being a hands-on dad showcased his nurturing spirit and love for his son. The role not only enriches his life, but also highlights the importance of active parenting and shaping our next generation. Thank you for that. In his career as an actor, personal trainer, and model, Derrick merges his athletic background with creativity and discipline, his ability to seamlessly transition between these roles speak to his determination and passion. He served as an inspiring example of how pursuing diverse interests can lead to a fulfillment in life. Derrick's story is one of hope, empowerment, and belief that our past does not define our future. His journey encouraged other Black youth embracing their identities, confront challenges head on, and strive for greatness in all aspects of life. We truly appreciate you, Derrick.
Very profound.
All right.
Thank you.
And again, guys, this is Tonya with the Diary of Life. Y'all know I got the Diary of Dating, but this is the Diary of Life. If you want to be on my show, leave it in the comments of this show. Okay. And we'll be back for another episode. I love you guys. Thank you for joining me.
This podcast is brought to you by the Scottdale Podcast Cafe.